Cole, who was introduced to model rims, told you that already. I missed this one. In 1910, Cole was the first car company to introduce 4 physical doors in a car. It was called the Cole 4-door, F-O-R-E. And it had 4 physical working doors. So Cole was the first 4-door car company. And also, one-man tops. So Cole also introduced in 16 the one-man top. So you didn't have to have 2 or 3 people to try to put down the top on your touring car. So they had quite a bit of, again, the engineering-led company, right? Cole engineers are always a step ahead. And this was Cole's slogan, starting in the mid-teens. There's a touch of tomorrow in all that Cole does today. Right? That was their slogan. Now, when we look at, let's get back to the 23 test car. It was actually built in 22, and that's when they started testing. Now, some of the stuff they learned was, they fitted the test hole with, they figured out that because you had these wider tires, you couldn't just take these wider, low-pressure tires and just slap them on any car. Wouldn't work. They discovered that you had to change the chassis. They discovered that the wooden spoke wheels didn't have enough support for that greater surface of the tire on the road. They discovered that you needed brakes on every wheel. You couldn't have 2-wheel brakes because you wouldn't get an even stopping experience. They discovered even that you had to have a multi-disc clutch to be able to compensate for the smoothness and how some of the things would behave, right? So they had to put all those things in the test car, in the 23 test car, and then they did all sorts of learnings and testing and everything else. And then they ended up taking that same car, when they were done proving it out, and they were ready to release them, they took that same car to the big major auto shows in New York and Chicago. And they displayed it with the new balloon tires, Firestone and everything, and said, hey, look at this. Now that car, I don't know if I have a picture, I don't have a picture over here, but that car, if you've ever seen it, it was on display at the museum. It's very narrow from the front. It was a completely custom car. And the reason why it was so narrow from the front, it has the look that it had, was because they wanted to stand out at the auto show, just like a concept car today, right? They wanted people to come and see it. And then when they came and see it, they'd talk about the tires and everything else. And as you also see, there's this 2-tire rack. Now, is that because you needed 2 spares? No. That was the display rack for the tires, for the auto show, so you could display the balloon tires there. Now, these, unfortunately, you cannot get today early balloon tire, replica tires. So these are the later balloon tire, late 20s, early 30s type balloon tires, which don't look the same as the original balloon tires. But I'll show you a picture of what they look like in just a few here. All right, so this over here is another interesting piece of history. So this is a letter from Harvey Firestone to Henry Ford. And this letter, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll kind of summarize it for you. It says that, hey, just went to the most recent big auto show. And boy, that Cole booth was the most popular booth at the auto show. They had the new balloon tires on their car, and everyone was interested in it. By the way, I really think that you need to be the first large producer to have some of these on the Lincolns. And then you need to start looking at these for use on all your Fords, right? And then Harvey says, by the way, I've included the Cole brochure that has personal markups from Thomas Edison about how much he loves the Cole balloon car with balloon tires. Right? So this was, again, Harvey Firestone making the same play, just like he did with the demountable rims, right? Is he worked with Cole, got him on there, showed how cool they were and everything else, so that he could go to the big guys, like Ford, and say, hey, you better get on these balloon tires. Right? And then they did eventually, right? What, 26? I think it was 26 or 27 they started using it. And Lincoln actually did a little bit before that, right?
Like 23 has balloon tires.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So and you could with some dealer, option stuff, but I was talking production aspect. Yeah. But yes, so that was it. So the car that Harley Firestone Raymond saw was the 23 Coupe. Was the car that we had on the show. So this is the Firestone story. Just some quotes in here, or some interesting information that production began in April of 23. Right? He said they would take radical changes in cars, right? Because you couldn't just slap them on any car. And he urged Henry Ford to adopt balloons. However, Henry Ford was not the first. Well, the rest of the tire manufacturers looked askance because then it says that, it's something new, they didn't want to jump in, that sort of stuff. So the Cole Motor Car Company had already switched from that to that and talked about, right? So again, as part of the Firestone history is that what I just told you as well. Now here's a Cole ad. A Cole ad that actually references Thomas Edison and his love of the balloon tires. And actually, in this quote, it actually says, from 23, I love balloon tires so much I even put them on my Ford. Which is similar. You couldn't get them on cars. The dealer would just have to do some work to them and everything else. But yeah. All right, so there's a picture. That's what balloon tires look like in the day. See how they're bigger? They look like balloons, right? They have that much more balloon look to them. And I really wish you could find some today. But unfortunately, no one makes it like that. All right, so 1924, the beginning of the end for Cole and their style of standardization. Okay, so what happened at Cole? Well, suppliers wanted more profitability and higher volume production, so they stopped letting Cole do individual innovation in the ecosystem. Right? Gilmore, Stromberg, all these companies said, you know what? Why am I letting people do changes and then I gotta build them? Why don't I just make my own thing and make everyone buy it? Right? More money. More money, higher throughput, all those great things. So suppliers started pushing back on Cole and saying, no, you can't do your own innovation. So then, after J.J. Cole refused to sell out to Billy Durant 3 separate times, Durant refused to let Northway sell engines to Cole. So he said, fine, you're not going to sell to me? You're not buying engines from us. Right? Now, another interesting footnote is that in about 21, 22, no, by the way, in 19, Cole was only second to Cadillac in luxury automobile sales in total volume. So they were actually doing pretty well. In 21, 22, J.J. Cole had put together an agreement with 12 auto manufacturers in Indiana to create a competitor to Durant and GM. So he had all the Indiana companies, he agreed to band together to create the General Motors, we'll call it, of Indiana. They had the agreement completely done, everyone was on board. It then went to Wall Street to fund it, put all the details together, everything else, just like all mergers and everything else happened, right? And it was slow walked, and the bank never finished putting it together. No evidence of this, but people speculate that it was the Detroit big guys that shut it down because they didn't want the competitor to the Detroit companies. So who knows what would have happened if that would have came together. And then third, the auto industry was shifting towards lower cost automobiles, while Cole's average price was about $3,000 per car. But that's what J.J. Cole wanted to make, and there was a market for it, right? People still had money. It was a roaring 20s. Now, who knows when the depression would have happened, but either way, his goal was never to be a mass producer like that. That was not the intention of Cole. And so what happened is that J.J. Cole urged the board to liquidate the company in the spring of 1924. So I'm not having fun anymore. There's no fun. If no one's going to let me innovate, if no one's going to let me do all this stuff, you know, he was a very proud man. And he had his principles, going back to those 3 principles that he founded the company on. And, you know, if you can't do them anymore, if you're not having fun, you know, he just didn't want to do it anymore. So he asked the board to liquidate the company. Cole was asked by the Speedway, the Indy Speedway, to be the pace car for the Indy 500 May to show off the new balloon tires. So J.J. Cole, they had a long relationship with the Indy Speedway. They did a lot of racing in the early days. They were in the first Indy 500. They did a lot of testing at the Speedway. Everything else, so J.J. Cole said, all right, we'll do that. So this picture here is a Cole Roadster with the new balloon tires as the pace car for the Indy 500. What was really interesting also, another aside, is that Henry Ford was the referee for the race that year. So Henry Ford had to drive around in the passenger seat of the Cole. And there are pictures of him, they're driving around. And so the race spurred some demand and interest. So, you know, people started saying, hey, I want one of those Coles, that's great. I saw it at the Speedway, you know, that sort of thing. And so J.J. Cole and the company authorized one last run of 746 cars during the late summer of 1924. So they produced one last run. So Cole ceased production in November of 1924 and sold off all of its assets. They paid off all the shareholders for the shares outstanding. And then J.J. Cole took his money and left, so he didn't lose any money. Now, when we look at that, Cole was profitable for almost every year of his existence. There were a couple years where there was some, you know, the war, World War I, and then also in the early, like 12 or so, when there was a minor recession. I don't know if there was minor, but there was a recession, where they weren't profitable. But other than that, they were profitable. They were a successful car company by all measures of the time. They had a lot of firsts in the industry. They did a lot of things, right? It was overall a great American success story in the auto industry. But, you know, because of the conditions, where the market was going, J.J. Cole realized it just wasn't for him anymore. And instead of trying to fight the battle and potentially lose his fortune, liquidated the company, paid off everyone who owned shares in it. That was that. So that's what happened to Cole. Now, one of the sad things is, kind of the tragic ending to this, is that in June or July of 1925, J.J. Cole ended up dying of a heart attack. He was only like 53. Yeah, so he ended up dying shortly after he liquidated the company. And his son had, J.J. Cole Jr. had graduated from Harvard in 23. So he was actually running the company in 23, 24. You know, Dad was letting him do more and more stuff and everything else. And actually the 23 two-person coupe, when they were done using it for the auto shows in 23, he gave that to his son as a graduation gift from Harvard. So it was J.J. Cole Jr.'s after that. All right, so during the last production run of Cole's in 1924, J.J. Cole Jr. had a special car built for his mother as a tribute to the legacy of the Cole Motor Car Company. So one of those last 700 or so cars, he made a special one for his mother as a tribute to the company. It was produced at Mrs. Cole's taste, and Willoughby, which was a big coach builder for a lot of, you know, big luxury cars at the time, did the coach work. Now this is Cole, you know, she was about 50 or so years old, and she liked the old style, right? And she didn't like those new modern steel wheels and all that sort of stuff. And so as you see, Mrs. Cole's, the 1925 Corvette, kind of a little bit hard to see the lighting in here and the coloring, but it has wooden spoke wheels. But it has balloon tires. Now, I thought I said that wooden spoke wheels wouldn't support the balloon tires. Well, one of the things they had to do was work with Firestone to create a hub and spoke system that can support the balloon tires. So if you actually look, it has a very, well, you can't really see very well in this picture, but it has a heavy steel rim, and then these wooden spokes are very stubby. Now, if you look at late 20s cars, early 30s cars that still have wood spokes, that's the design right there. And this is where it came from. The Harvey, Firestone worked with Cole to make those special for Mrs. Cole on the car. Now, keeping with that legacy of first, one of the things was, I've seen, if you go out and search on the internet, you say, who had the first self-adjusting mechanical brakes? You'll find several articles that pop up and say the Cole Motor Car Company did in 1925. When I first saw that a couple of years ago, I was skeptical. I said the company was winding down, right? They were liquidating. Why would they have that? I've never heard that or seen that, right? So this car is the last surviving of what was called the 1925 era, even though it was made late 24. So when I got this early January 2019, and I had it at a place that was doing some stuff on it for me, I asked them about, hey, take a look at those brakes. Let's see if that story is true or not. And lo and behold, it does have self-adjusting mechanical brakes on it. Again, that trip, J.J. Cole Jr., when he made his first model on it, would put some newer things in it. Now, the other interesting thing with it, this is an unrestored car. It's never been restored. It's had some maintenance, it had some touch-ups. The Cole family cared for it. They did, maintain the base, they took it out of times. The family owned this until 2007. And it has chrome. So chroming technology was created in 1923. You read a lot of the automotive history books, they say it wasn't used in a car until 27. So we started doing some looking on this, and I had lots of people in the restoration industry, and then also CCCA judges, a lot of people really looked at this. We looked at the radiator and everything else. It's never been rechrome. It's the original radiator, everything else. Then we did some more research and looked at some trade magazines from the time and some summaries of some auto shows in late 24. And it talked about this car being at the auto show, and it said Cole was showing off their new advanced finish on all of the brightwork called Silver Frost. And so it was chrome, right? But there wasn't really that name, that was more of a technical term for what it was or anything, but there really wasn't a brand to it yet. So Cole was calling it Silver Frost at the time, but they weren't using it on the other cars, it was just on this one. Again, that they just used as that tribute to the legacy of the company of innovation. So it's kind of a special piece of history. And one other note was that car was it's one of only two cars that are on the National Register of Historic Places. So the National Park Service maintains a registry usually for buildings, right? Significant buildings and everything. So the Cole Mansion in Indianapolis is on the registry, and this was an adjoining object because it was actually kept at the mansion. So the National Park Service in 1997 came out and did an analysis of it, documented the whole thing, wrote a report on it. So it's actually on the register now. It's a disassociated object because it's not at the mansion anymore. But we're working with the Historic Vehicle Association to get it more on that registry because it's more fitting. But they're like having a two-year backlog. But it's a pretty cool car. It's a time capsule of the company and of the family, and that nice car overall as well. So that's the car. That's actually the car in the 80s in front of the Cole Mansion in Indianapolis, which still stands. That's still there. But that's it. Any questions? Yes?
With Durant, didn't he go step down from GM and get a little car?
Yeah, he did well.
Didn't he pop out after that?
He was fired three times from GM. Yeah, he was fired 3 times from GM.
Yeah, I heard it. That's right.
Yeah, and then he always kept getting back there. Yes, but he did have Durant, and then he also had Star. What's that? Yeah. He was an interesting guy. I'm not the biggest GM Durant guy. I don't know all the nuances and things. I haven't studied that. But from what I've seen, he was more of a business person than he was a car person. Right? He didn't have that engineering mindset like J.J. Cole did. He was more of a business person, right? So, it's a big difference. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Now, at what time did they actually innovate the H-shift pattern in the school car?
The H-shift pattern, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know when the first company that had the H-shift pattern was. Cole actually started using the H-shift pattern probably in 19, well, actually, not I do have an H-shift pattern, but not, it had to break down to the left. Not like you think of first. But like the 13 Cole has a big German silver shifter at the center. It actually has a traditional shift pattern. Reverse 1, 2, 3, right? Good question. I don't know exactly the first company that did that. But there was a lot of companies that tried different things. Then you had the whole right-hand and left-hand drive, right? And Cole switched to, there was a Series 8 Cole that came out in late 12 and into 13, the middle of 13. That was the last right-hand drive Cole. And then they went to left-hand drive. Now the other interesting thing is, let me see how quickly I can go back and show you this. Yeah, sorry. Look the other way. I think I passed it. All right, 1 second, just about there. Looking for a picture of the inside of the car.
You remember seeing it?
Yeah, it is right there. There we go. Okay, so now when we take a look at this, so that's an H-shifting pattern, and it actually says reverse 1, 2, 3 on there. Now there's a clutch over here, you can't really see it, and then there's a brake right here, and then there's a silver pedal right here. Anyone know what that silver pedal is for?
Starters?
No? Sorry, what?
Neutral?
No? No? That's the accelerator. Yeah, the accelerator was in between the clutch and the brake. Now, why was that? Cole was big into racing in 10, 11, and 12. And that's called the heel-toe configuration. So you put your toe on the brake, you put your heel on the spoon accelerator, and so you can very quickly go between brake and throttle. So it's kind of a pain to drive to get used to it, but the good thing is the pedals are adjustable, so you can tune it in. But Stutz also use that. Some of those other companies that you associate, Mercer, a lot of the racing type companies use that same configuration. But it's very odd. Yes.
Picture roll bodies.
Yeah.
In the lower left, it looked like they had a hard top
Yes.
that had no center post.
Yes. Okay, so
Does that qualify as the first hard top?
debatable.
Okay.
Okay, and let me tell you something. That is a 1916, 17. Cole didn't really use model years, by the way. They use series of models, and people try to clump them into model years, but sometimes they came out with 3 different series or models in a year. So in 16, 17, that time frame, they came out with what was called the Tour Sedan. And it had a special body in collaboration with Springfield. And It was advertised as the first car that could go from an open car to a closed car in less than 10 minutes. So what you did is you actually opened up your doors, slid the windows, the windows were on the straps, right? They didn't have crankshaft. Slid them down the straps, the windows were in there, so that left you with window frame and the pillar. You just folded, you literally fold the window frame out, the pillar moves in, and it goes into the door. It gives you a nice clean look. And so it goes all the way around, and then the back window slides right down to the back. You could actually bend the front window down too. But all you're left with is 4 posts and a top. But the car is a massive car. And when you actually see it, it is, I mean, it's big, it's, you know, I mean, it feels old, right?
Are one of those surviving?
Yes. So fortunately, we actually think that there was probably only about 10 of those made. It was about a $4,500 car. And Leroy Cole actually owns the surviving one. And he has just loaned it to the museum. So starting in the spring, that one will be on display here. And it's actually got the storage building right now. But it's set up where half of the side is open and half of the side is closed, so you can see the difference. And it has an original interior in it too. It has an original upgraded interior in it, which is really cool because it's a tapestry. So it's got lots of design in the fabric and everything. It was a very, very pretty car. And that one also has, the color on it is American flag blue. And so when you think about a 1617, the start of the Great War, and so J.J. Cole, good marketer as well, what he did was he said, he'd always used what was called coal blue. But what he did is he contacted Betsy Ross's granddaughter, got a hold of an original American flag, copied the blue exactly, and then painted some of the cars in American flag blue. And then had Betsy Ross's granddaughter write up a whole thing, take pictures, and it became a whole campaign. So if you wanted the car that was the most patriotic car with the closest color to the American flag, you had to get a Cole. Not sure it persuaded anyone to, spend the big money on a Cole or not, but it's a great story. But that one is an American flag blue. So yeah, it's just in the spring when that gets back out on display, and it's a great car to look at the engineering of it. It also has the V8 on it. They don't open up the covers on the engine very often here, but you get a chance, you can see the big V8 in it too. Any other questions?
Kevin, before we thank you, I forgot to ask, is there anybody here in the audience that's here for the first time? Let's give them a round of applause. The museum are open for another hour and a half, so you can wander and enjoy. So welcome. Kevin, what a fascinating lecture. I mean, it's just outstanding. We learned so much, so thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate it.
I forgot to actually, I was going to pass them around, but I had a couple standardized car radiator badges, if you want to see those, and then I also had a pretty rare Cole standardized car watch fob for a pocket watch. But you can see the eagle and it says standardized car on there. But they're up here if you want to take a look at it.
Kevin, on behalf of all of us who represent you with Gilmore Car Museum, smiles from ordinary by David O'Line.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any last questions?